Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. Another new route. I couldn't think of the word for a second. I need my little guide. As you can see, we got all of our pictures back. I clicked through. It took me a little while, but I did it just so we could start the last part of the series off correctly. And I have to come back and be like, hey, by the way, this is what it was. This is what it looks like currently, what it should have been looking like this whole time. So let's go. Um, so for those who don't know, in case this is your first part of the series for whatever reason, please go back and watch the rest of it. It's an amazing game, unless you already know that and you're only here for Lilly. Um, we're here for Lilly. Yeah. So yeah. If in case you don't know, I use a guide only to get to where I need to. I don't use a guide at any other point after Act Two, or like after Act One, I guess, during Act Two. Does these choice matter? I don't know. All right, doesn't matter. I don't think introductions ever matter. Oops. So yeah, I'll just take this time to just talk about how amazing this game has been, just because this is our first time seeing this stuff. You know, this is it's been an adventure for sure. This is the library. Um, it's been an adventure, you know, falling in love with all these girls and then eventually them hating us for that quick little ending section. It's great. It's a great game. Kenji, he's amazing. I think what I was talking about in the last section where I was like, was Kenji the book thief? I don't know. I think it's like spread out through the routes. I think there's just random things that you see him do where he's like, yeah, I took these books in like in Shizune's route or something, and then like in the last one she's like, there's a book thief somewhere, we don't know. And yeah, I think that's his whole thing, is that you can't tell all at once. But this doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just play defensive then. Yeah, so far I think my favorite girl is still Rin. I don't know if Lily's gonna be, you know, the best, just because I love Rin so much. And then I think it goes Hanako second, because I mean, look at her, she's so cute. Introduce myself. Yeah, and then between Shizune and Emi, I think it has to be Shizune. Emi was really cute, and I think that her route was written the best. But as far as like girls go, was she cute? She was cute. As far as like girls go, Emi was just not my favorite. Nothing wrong with her, of course, but you know, the other girls, they're just so cute. Shizune's cool. I would. Do we talk to her? Of course we do. I still feel bad for making her run away yesterday. Although when I look at Hanako, I think she's the cutest. Like, I mean, like, yeah, Emi's textbook cute, but like, look at Hanako. She's just so nice. She reminds me of like Violet from The Incredibles. I think just because the hair over her eye and thing. Was that a thing? But am I remembering that right, or did she do that at like the end? Oh no, the end's where she like takes it over her eye, and the boy is like, "Yeah, hello." Sorry, I don't know why I'm remembering this right now. I haven't seen The Incredibles since I was a kid. I think. Yeah, I haven't seen the first Incredibles since I was a kid. That was good. Damn, it's crazy to think how long ago that came out, considering how like iconic of a movie it is. Um, your choice, depending on what you pick, yes or maybe. Oh, all right. We're just making our way through this now. I'm realizing I don't know how to riff without some content going on. It's really tough to talk to a camera for a while. And these things take forever. It's crazy to think the amount of text that I've read over the course of like a year? Has it been a year? I actually don't know. How long have I been doing Katawa Shoujo? It was last August, wasn't it? It's been a year. Right? I mean, it's weird because there was like those like month-long breaks and stuff. That's why it's like I can't remember, but um me some slack, obviously. Yeah, I think it was in August. I'll go back, but we've been growing on this series for a year, you guys. That's crazy. Granted, I've been working and going all over the country this year. This has been my most active year professionally. So the fact I've been able to actually keep up Katawa Shoujo, despite not doing it for a couple months sometimes. But then I tried pre-recording enough to get it. Do we just take it easy? We have to, right? Yeah, we just take it easy. Oh. And then we go on her own pace, and she doesn't show mercy, pulling half a lap ahead of me in an instant. I know we've read this before, but whatever. I don't blame her. I mean, it's not as if I'm really putting up any sort of real fight out here, is it? Instead, I'm running at a steady pace, which is what I should be doing, right? There's no need to go pushing my limits at this stage of the game. God, is this even worth it? How have we not read this? We had to do this to get to Rin, I thought. As we finish the second lap, I break off again. Emmy keeps going, and it almost seems to me that she's disappointed. Well, that's stupid. I don't have anything to prove to her. Come to think of it, I've got nothing to prove to myself, either. I'm just fine the way I am. And what I'm not is a runner. This was probably a bad idea. Maybe there's something else I could do instead of this. Getting up this early sucks anyway. There's got to be some other way to keep me healthy. Walking, maybe. Nice afternoon walks. Yeah, that sounds good. Running isn't for me. I wave to Emmy and head back to my room. I think of something else later. Back in my room. Yeah. What were we talking about? I don't remember. Let's see, we're almost there. We just gotta go into town with Lilly, and then we'll be home free. As far as friendship dynamics go, do I like Emmy and Rin, Misha and Shizune, or Lilly and Hanako? I think Emmy and Rin, because they were funny. I don't remember Lilly and Hanako being funny as much as it felt like sisters type thing, you know? I don't know. But Emmy and Rin felt like actual friends. Not in good condition, or I don't want to talk about it. Sorry, I'm in bad shape. Yeah. Okay. Oh, then we go into town. It says go into town. I don't remember what's going to town. Do we go into town again? Like a second time? Is that different? I don't remember doing that ever. Did we do that with Hanako? Oh, I get that. Before walking to town. Following Hanako to the library seems a bit intrusive. There was a reason she left the classroom after all. And that aside, I do want to catch up with Lilly. At the very least, I'd like to thank her for looking out for me despite her other, obviously taxing duties. I guess I'll walk around town. With any luck, I should be able to find Lilly. The exercise will do me some good as well. Walking through the school courtyard to the gate, I give a small nod to a couple of passing classmates, the gesture being returned in kind. Even from there, the shouts of the sports club members can be heard. From the sheer volume of the din, the track must be packed right now. I remember what Lilly said yesterday about being dropped right into the middle of the busy time for school. While I'm trying to get my bearings and catch up on the study that I've missed, everyone else is doing normal school activities. The feeling of being a foreigner still hasn't dissipated, at least not yet. Well, I guess not everything's bad. This is a private school, and that much is easily noticed when walking around outside. Not only are the school grounds huge, but the buildings themselves are immaculate and quite divorced from a dozen concrete blocks of public schools. There's also the fact that there's a much stronger feeling of community here, or at least a friendlier atmosphere. At my old school, it was generally accepted that people would keep to their little clique and be done with it. Eventually, I reach the gate and begin to walk down the road and into town. Well, I was fairly productive. Having seen a fairly portion of the town, okay, he wasn't being sarcastic. Having seen a fair portion of town, even including the houses perched on the hills and around the outskirts, I decided to take a walk around the park before heading back. Living in the city all my life, the total lack of smartly dressed businessmen and fashionably dressed girls strikes me as incredibly unusual. All that's to be seen are an odd elderly person shuffling along the sidewalk and assorted, busily chatting pairs of middle-aged women outside of small storefronts. Walking along the road, the park quickly distracts me from them, though, making me realize that I perhaps pushed myself further than I should have done to see as much as I could. As my breath begins to wheeze and my chest tightens more and more, I give up on the prospect of soldiering on. After a quick glance around the park as I enter, I take a seat on a wobbly old bench that I notice near a couple of vending machines. For minutes on end, I sit with my head bent over, forcing myself to take deep breaths. I feel more like an old man than a teenager who should be in his prime of his life. The stay in the hospital, the surgery, and medications must be taking their toll on me. Damn it. Eventually, my breathing returns to normal and the muscles in my chest loosen, not without a fair measure of relief. I guess this means the end of my little sojourn, though. In any case, sojourn? I don't think I've ever heard that word used. There's a cafe on the far corner, so I'll stop to quench my thirst before heading back. Did we not go to the Shanghai with anybody? Shit. The little bell above the door signals my arrival to an empty counter. For a few moments, I stand there waiting, my eyes every now and again drifting from one end of the counter to the other, searching for a service bell. Eventually, a door some ways behind the counter opens, the person emerging from it taking me by complete surprise. Yuko? Hi, I had no idea you worked here. I really have no idea how to address her either, given that she is technically school staff, as well as apparently a waitress. Yeah. She quickly paces to the counter before flipping her upper half downwards in an overreacted bow. Welcome to the Shanghai. May I take your order? Straight down to business, I say. I don't know. Coffee, please? Yes, certainly. I'll make it right away and bring it to you when it's done. Thanks. Yuko's formality takes me aback. She seems to take her job very seriously. Obeying her instructions, I turn around and quickly glance around for a free table. Considering the cafe seems to be empty, this is a simple task to accomplish. As I walk towards the table adjacent to the window, I notice a flash of yellow around one of the table dividers. Yo, Kira's already in town. Sure enough, no more than a glance is needed to ascertain that it's certain Soto at the table. That said, I don't recognize the suited figure across the table from her. Blonde, fair-skinned, and only a little shorter, I think she must be a relative. Since the two are all but silent as the suited figure takes a swig from a cup of coffee, I decide to greet Lilly. Some part of my coming here was in order to meet her, after all. Hi, Lilly. Miss How? Oh my god, I haven't read Lilly in so long. Yeah, nice to see you again. The suited girl looks up, noting my uniform with a relaxed smile. You know each other? I guess. It's as good as an approximation of our relationship as I can think of. Care to take a seat? She says this to the air beside me, but the message is clear enough that I take a seat beside her. I suppose some introductions might be in order. Hisao, this is Akira Sato, my older sister. Akira, this is Hisao Nakai, another Yamaku student. Looks like my guess was correct. The newly introduced Akira gives a nod, which I return. What I don't return, however, is the almost analytical gaze with which she looks me over. As she does so, Yuko walks up to the table, carefully places the coffee on the table before bowing and taking her leave. Gently bringing my hand to the side of the cup, I realize that it's already at just the right temperature to drink. After taking a sip, the flavor turns out turns out to be just as good as the temperature. Yuko seems a lot better at this than being a librarian. I take a good long drink before relaxing into the seat. It takes mere seconds for Akira's examination to come to an end, apparently becoming quickly bored with the activity. She turns to her sister. So, how's school recently? Seems Akira is entirely unconcerned with someone she doesn't know at all listening to everything that they say. Not that I mind. Leaving them to their chatting, I sit back and continue drinking the pleasantly aromatic coffee. Sounds like pretty busy for you then. At least I'm not cooking your meals after school anymore. As they talk, I realize that I'm entirely unable to gauge Lily's emotions through her eyes, as I would for any other person. It becomes slightly unsettling as I subconsciously focus on that fact. Whoa, so cold. Weren't you just cooking for yourself anyway? I only ever got leftovers. That's not the point. Are you managing to feed yourself, at least? I can cook without blowing myself up, you know. Mostly. That's fine, it's fine. I need to learn some time anyway. Lily. Everyone present is momentarily distracted by Yuko, who places a cup of tea on the table for Lily. Taking the moment to glance at her watch, Akira levers herself off the seat and gives a quick nod. Well, better be off. It was nice talking to you, Lily. Akira, do you have to... Lily looks genuinely mournful at her sister suddenly leaving. It does seem like she might have the wrong idea. I'm sorry, I need to get back to work. They'll be on my neck again if I don't make it back quickly. So informal. Akira's trim and tidy appearance would give anyone the wrong impression of her. Bye, Akira. Come on, don't look so down. I'll see you again. See yous. With that, she waltzes out of the Shanghai with her hand held high. Lily still looks pretty depressed, so damn. 2 seconds ago, he was like, I can't tell what she feels by looking at her. And now he's like, she's depressed. I can tell. So I guess maybe that means it's really strong. I don't know. So I tried to make some small talk in an effort to take her mind off of it. She seems nice. We used to live together, but now that I live at school, we hardly ever see each other. Despite Lily having been quite affable, I still don't really know much about her. In hindsight, it's surprising just how much she's extracted from me, really. So you used to live together? Was it somewhere around here? It was a pretty far south, so the trip into Yamaku was fairly long. With her working hours getting longer and Yamaku being so far away, there was little choice in the end but to move into the dormitories. Well, that explains the chatter about cooking. Evidently, regaining her composure, she livens back up, at least in part. I take it you're better rested now? Sorry? You sound less exhausted than you did when you first came in. To be able to pick up my breathing like that, she must have pretty good ears. Yeah, I ended up walking all over town, despite only planning on taking a short walk down here. Reminded of my thirst from the walk, I leaned forward to take a sip. Without further ado, Lily starts on her cup of strong-smelling tea. What? Of strong-smelling tea. I guess I'd better get going back to Yamaku. There's only... What? Didn't you come to see Lily for something? Why did you just want to come just see Lily for, like, no absolute reason? There's only so long I can stall studying for, and I want to get into a good night's sleep before the festival. Standing from my seat, I take the coffee-stained cup from the table. You're leaving? Yeah, you going to head back as well? It's getting kind of late. For a moment, she pauses before lifting her face over her teacup, as if she was looking at me. Yuko, could we have one more coffee, please? Okay, I'll bring it right away. That's not subtle. She gives a short giggle at my frank assessment of her maneuver. It's surprisingly childish and carefree, given her otherwise collected appearance. What is the sad music playing for? In the end, though, I have little reason to refuse. To be honest, I can hardly say no, all things considered. Giving a manufactured sigh, I take a seat opposite of her. Wanting company, then? I'd say it's more than that I was wondering. I see she's questioning mode again. She's in questioning mode again. She does seem to be unusually interested in me, or at least curious. Do you have any siblings? Not exactly an unexpected tangent. No, only child. To be honest, the idea of having someone that close makes me a bit envious. Interesting. I raise an eyebrow, which of course goes unseen. The short silence communicates the question well enough. It's just that others have said the same thing before. It's a difficult subject to try and think about objectively, given that I've always had someone like that. I can mostly understand what Lily means, given that it would be hard to place oneself outside a situation they've been in all their life. She and her sister must have a pretty close relationship. Taking pains to interpret us as little as possible, Yuko dutifully comes over and places a cup of coffee on the table. Lily thanks her as I sit back, taking in this vexing girl in front of me. Despite always seeming to be on her guard and in control of herself, when talking to others, she has an almost childlike curiosity about other people. Well, yeah, because she doesn't know how to see. She can't just guess things by hearing people. She kind of has to see everyone through her own eyes. Her mind's eye, I guess. That said, those rare moments she seems slightly lower her guard are the most insightful into how she thinks. Reaching forward for my drink, I realize something I probably should have noticed earlier. I think I'm starting to become kind of curious about her. Wow, let's go. So, despite making a good pace, it's already nightfall by the time I reach the large iron gates in front of the school. While it's nice to have plenty of time to wander around by virtue of living right next to the school, can't help but getting the feeling that very few students actually take the opportunity. Did he just leave Lily alone back there? I would have walked back with her, bro. Compared to the number of students I see milling around on campus during free time, it's startlingly rare to see anyone around town. Given the large number of accommodations and facilities that the school offers, many of them might simply not see any point in venturing outside, let alone people such as Hanako and Kenji. It makes me wonder if students like Shizune, Misha, and Lily are the exception for this school, rather than the norm. As I wander back to the dorm room, I continue to compare my old school with Yamaku. As I do so, I begin to be surprised that I managed to even get this used to everything that's happened to me.